Hello everyone, SiegeLink here, and I'm going to be doing something I haven't done in a while, which is looking over a replay in Starcraft 2. I'm doing this for a few reasons. First of all, I haven't played Starcraft 2 in a while on my channel because I don't know how many people are interested in it, and it's the game that's takes the most out of you. It takes a lot of APM, and it's kind of hard to do, like, entertainingly, at least for me personally. If I have a lot of people who like StarCraft 2 and would want to subscribe for StarCraft 2, then I'm fine doing more of it. But I do want to emphasize that it's something I'm not really willing to do on a daily basis because it does take a lot out of me. And I think anyone who's played StarCraft 2 kind of knows how stressful the game can be and how intense the game can be, and I think you know what I'm talking about. But the other reason I want to play this is because I don't know what it is, but my win rate versus in of like my TvZ win rate versus Plat Zergs is like 20 to 30%, but my win rate versus Diamond Zergs is so far, I think 100%. I can't think of a single game I've lost to a Diamond Zerg. I'm gonna be honest. I can't remember the last time I've lost to a Diamond Zerg. So I don't know what it is, but so many people I'm facing who are in Diamond League are just terrible. I mean, this guy was, I think, probably the worst of all the Diamond Zergs I've faced. Like, he played like, I would say maybe Gold 1 level. Like, he was really bad, maybe even lower than that. And you guys will see, I'm going to point out, like, all the mistakes he made this game. And to be fair, I wasn't playing 100% perfect either. I mean, I'm not, like, Master or Grandmaster yet. And I don't play this game that consistently either. And I don't actually remember, I feel like I want to say this was my first game of the day. So, that also is partially the reason. So I'm going for a build that if you guys want to, I can give kind of a build order guide to it, even though I honestly haven't figured out a 100% perfect way to do it yet. Because usually things will be off by like a few milliseconds here and there. Or actually I don't do it, I forgot. I go for the traditional 111. I'm just so used to doing it, but on this map it's not really too good doing the Reaper build, is just what I call it, because I haven't found a name that rolls off the tongue properly. You know, 2 racks, 3 Reaper doesn't really roll off the tongue. 2-3-1 Reaper doesn't really roll off the tongue. So I kind of just go for the traditional 1-1-1. I go for the Reaper, and it pops right when the Lings come to try to deny this SCV. But don't really focus on it too well. And I don't have a supply depot, so I'm not able to properly stop these Lings. But I pull a small chunk of workers and was able to do pretty well versus them. Didn't actually need to pull those extra workers. I A-moved, but apparently that Reaper was just out of range. So overall, he's able to kill 4 workers for, I think that was 6 Lings. Yeah, 6 Lings. So I would say that's about an equal trade. If I'm a Zerg, I'll definitely take that, especially since they didn't have speed. But yeah, he's gonna go for. This is actually kind of greedy. Is that he's going for a 3rd hatch before his 2nd hatch is even finished. So he has 1 queen, doesn't even have a 2nd gas, just got speed finished, but he's only got 4 Lings, which luckily for him is pretty okay here, considering my Hellions just started, because I started a starport before my Hellions. But I know that he can't really kill this. Yeah, with a supply depot wall off, it can be quite annoying if you have that. That can very commonly happen. So this game I decided to go for a Raven. I personally just don't like Cloak Banshee because it's quite an investment to get. Well, not too much of an investment to get Cloak and a Banshee. It's just the problem is how much longer Cloak takes to get than a Banshee. So now he starts to run in. I react slow enough to the point where he's able to surround 1, but the rest I'm able to control, and he doesn't have enough Lings to be able to do anything, especially with an extra 2 Marines there. Get my production up. Don't have a eBay quite yet, though. So I'm staying on 1-1-1. And, actually, hold on a sec. Did I lose my Reaper? I think yeah, I lost my Reaper. Hold on. I need to go back and actually show you guys this from my POV. Okay, it was right then. So over here, when he sends 4 more lings over, I want to see just how much he's investing into this. So I see this, and I also saw more lings coming. So I saw the third hatch, but I wanted to sacrifice his Reaper to get scouting information. I see 0 workers on that natural. So I know even though he's denying this, it's not that bad for me. He's getting a third hatch, and what he's going to want to do is just either use that third hatch just for production and go for an all-in, or what he's going to do is just go queen, queen, inject, inject, hope that I don't attack, or hope that he can, or hope that I don't invest that much into it attacking. He can defend it, and then have 3 guys fully saturated before I'm even close to getting my third. Something you'll notice is that he's putting a lot of overlords around my base, and he actually goes for a lurker den. What his plan is actually go for lurker den, is a lurker plus Nidus, which is a strat that's not really, I mean, it's definitely better in lower leagues than higher leagues. What you're seeing here is actually an accidental rally across the map from my orbitals, which, even though it might have seemed pretty sloppy, it was actually kind of good for me, surprisingly, because he actually used a Baneling to kill one of them. So I traded 2 workers for a Baneling, which is actually a trade I'm okay taking. So I see this Overlord, and usually when you see Overlords that are just trying to hide and not trying to get scouting information, you know that it's going to be a Nidus. So he's got 4 of them, so he's really investing into this Nidus play. But the thing is, he's delayed it quite heavily. And with the Raven, I'm able to come in and scout this. So I'm getting a bunch of production up before third base. This is something I like to do quite a bit. And this is the big thing. I was just trying to trade these Hellions for the Banelings to keep his and I see the lurker den. I'm like, oh, okay. So I immediately start another starport, so that I can have, because I already swapped over, so I can get medevacs. So I'm like, okay, I need to get a starport with a Raven out, because if you get caught off guard by lurkers, it's one of the worst units to get caught off guard by. Because if you don't have scans, and all of a sudden there's like 5 lurkers in your face, you're just like, your entire army's dead. So you really need to have a Raven versus lurkers. It's just like how if you're going against Protoss and you're going for a bunch of Marauders and they all of a sudden switch into Fleet Beacon, and you've got like 30 Marauders against like 10 carriers. It's really bad. So because I was actually showing you something else, I'm not actually sure if you guys caught that properly. But when the Raven actually moved in, he didn't micro his queen at all. So his queen actually died to an auto turret. And it barely had enough duration to get another kill. So worker-wise, he's barely ahead. So with the mules, I'm about equal on economy. As you can see, I'm slightly ahead of minerals, he's slightly ahead of gas. And he's injecting here, but he's not properly droning. Like, look, he's over-mining here, and he has almost no guys mining there. And I get a third base on location, which was actually kind of good because of because it gave me actually scouting potential, weirdly enough. So I was able to pull his drones back there, but I did get 2 more, and 1 very low. And also pulled his guys forward. Because here's the thing, there's actually no reason to actually pull his guys forward, because none of that attacks air. So at this point, I don't think I barely didn't scout the Nidus exactly. But I was kind of guessing Nidus in my head. And here, I go for double auto turret. He doesn't pull in time, and I kill a bunch of workers. And then I go for a drop with 2 Hellbats, which does a bunch of damage. So even though I'm focusing on this side of the map, I'm like, okay, you got a Nidus, but I can react in time. And I see that he actually is pulling no guys out of it. And the reason for that is because and I know the reason because of that is because he's focused on my side of the map. This is also going to be a bit of a recording test to see the proper mic audio versus desktop audio, which is the problem in my last Starcraft 2 video a long time ago. So he's got no anti-air, so I can just load up my CC, bring my units down, and I know, with no Banelings, like, I can easily just kill that Nidus. So the big thing you want to look at this game is the resources lost tab. This was massively in my favor for the entire game. And the creep spread. If you look, he has one creep tumor, and he hasn't used it at all. 144 energy on this queen, 90 on this one, no queen here, queen low here, which is 115 energy, and he's not spreading any creep. You're a Diamond League Zerg who's not spreading creep. How do you get that high a league without ever spreading creep? I don't understand. Like, you've got so much energy, even if so, you've got one active creep tumor, you could at least be moving that forward a little bit. Like, I mean, I spread creep better, and I'm barely in Gold League as a Zerg. Like, I never play a Zerg. There's my least played race and my least best race. So here I decided to do a double drop. So I go in here. I aim for the queen and the spore because it's about to kill my medevac. Which I barely wasn't able to. But this is mostly a distraction so I can kill this fourth base of his. Lurkers are very good defensively, but if you can't secure a fourth base because you have no creep spread, which is exactly what happened this game over and over, it's not going to really do anything for you. And if you look here, he's not even pulling back his lurkers. He's doing it now. And I knew this was risky, but I was hoping that these Widow Mines could get good damage. But sadly, his Overseer was right above me, so he tanked those shots. It still wasn't too bad for me, though. I mean, if you look at the resources lost tab, I'm still quite heavily ahead. So he pushes me off over here, but I'm like, okay, let me just fly it over here, get an orbital. And as you can see, I mean, I've got six barracks, 2 starports, a factory, and at some point soon I actually get a second factory to get drilling claws. And I'm like, okay, I know you've got a bunch of overlords around me, so I'm just going to bring some Vikings out and just get rid of them, because I've had enough. And I'm also, on top of my upgrades, both of these are always finishing the exact same time. I'm not perfect on my medevac production, but as you can see, my upgrades are always above his, which that's kind of how it should be in TvZ, but still. He's going to try to secure a base here, and I make a base here. And this is how I like to play. A lot of people wouldn't do this, because a Terran doesn't need that many bases versus Zerg. A lot of people will act like. But later in the game, that will actually come back to haunt you, specifically in endgame. And it's also the way that when I have a bunch of minerals but not that much gas, which is the case right now, that's the best way I like to push my advantage, is to just build a bunch of bases. So I often like to build proxy bases as a result. So, oh, I didn't actually realize that. Let me show you guys this. So I still have these medevacs here. Forgot to bring them back home, but that's still fine, because he forgot to deal with them. So I move in, kind of just hoping to bait his units in the main, which is exactly what happened. And then I drop them in the fourth base, and move my army to the fourth base. Kill it, and army supply pretty heavily in my favor. And even though he's got a decent worker supply, I mean, what's that going to really do for him, given, you know, the base difference? So he had enough lurkers that were far enough back that I wasn't able to kill him in time. And his lurkers were close enough here to the point where I had just a tiny little area here to work with, where I wasn't in lurker range. So I found that sweet spot. I scanned here so I know exactly where the lurkers are, so I could find the sweet spot. I knew it was right here. I was able to trade well versus it, but I knew I couldn't push because of the lurkers. And even though lurkers made it so I couldn't just push and win the game, I mean, I'm going to win the game in the long run if he can't build a fourth base. Got quite a few bit here. Quite a bit here. Forgot to check over here with my Vikings, but that's still alright. And build 2 extra barracks here. 3 medevacs over here. So I forgot this force here, but I'm like, oh, that's alright. Didn't have enough hiders to kill it in time, and even if so, that wasn't the one that was fully full of guys. So I boost my medevacs in here, but he does react pretty quickly. So I knew that this wasn't properly enough bio to really do anything. But I really just wanted to kill the macro hatch of it that he had. I'm like, okay, this is a bad trade. I'm gonna get out of there, but yeah. That was actually the first trade in the game, I think, that went, like, very poorly in my favor. Or, not in my favor. But with, you know, upgrades being equal, me starting 3-3 quicker, the resources lost tab still being my favor, and having 4 bases to his 3, with him just starting another 4th base now, I'm like, okay. So I'm just scanning all over the place, looking for, I'm like, you've got to have a 4th base. It's built in the same location. But knowing that he just built it, I know that I'm ahead economically. He's got a decent chunk of workers up, but if you look at his actual bases, he's overmining his natural a bunch. And here, this was the big thing. He's got just Hydras here. He'd brought none of his lurkers around. And as a result of that, I just burrow my guys, or burrow my Widow Mines. And look at this. Look at that damage. No Banelings, so it's not like he can punish me from having my units clumped up. And look at the resources lost tab and the units lost tab. It's just, he's just microing he's microing his units so poorly. So I scan here, see just lurkers, and I'm like, okay, if you're gonna run right towards me, I'm just gonna jump on you, buddy. I've even got the scan here for me. I'm like, okay, my units are damaged a bunch, so I'm just gonna run away with them. Get some, you know, free overseers on the way. I mean, look at this. Double the resources lost tab in my favor. He just ran lurkers right into me, and lurkers don't do anything if they're not burrowed. And now I've got 8 barracks, 2 factories. Didn't get drilling claws quite yet, but I did get it soon enough. And if you look here, I'm even getting vehicle upgrades, even though I'm not even getting anything but Widow Mines. We even got 2 medevacs over here that I'm not sure if I forgot about or not. This I've always found funny when Widow Mines are like on the little ramp here. You can see like under them. And it looks really weird. So he did end up seeing that. Wonder if he saw that on the minimap. I highly, highly doubt it. Speed it up quite a bit. Okay, so you did actually see the medevacs move over there, interestingly. So he moves his static defense over there. Okay, no, he actually didn't see it. So he must have saw it on the minimap when I passed by the Overlord. Interesting. That's very surprising considering, you know, no creeps right and just always being baited. I'm very surprised that was the case. So I know when his army's coming. I really want to jump on him and kill that lurker. I knew it wasn't going to be that good of a trade for me, but this is like the first time I started to panic a tiny bit. And I'm like, okay, I've got enough units back into him, I can deal with this. And this is another big mistake he made. He actually decides to push here. So I stim in with everything. He's got just roaches and corruptors. And I've even got the upgrade advantage. And yeah, I'm just crushing everything, including his overseers. And he's finally able to clean up, to get some mutas out to clean up these Widow Mines. But I mean, against how big my army is right now, sure, I've got a bunch of, you know, mutas, but I've still got plenty of marines and mines to deal with your mutas. And his hive's super late as well, so it's not like he's going to be able to just catch me off guard with broodlords and just crush me that way. Like, if you look at the resources lost tab and the supply this entire game, I've pretty much always been ahead of it. There's a few scenarios where I've been ahead worker-wise, but with mules, I've been equal. I've never really been behind. Here, I'm just like, okay, scan, kill the lurkers. That's a big threat. So I'm like, okay, boost my medevacs away so his corruptors are useless. I see where his lurker's at. Kill in the upgrade area. Didn't think the lurker had quite that much range, but I definitely moved in too much. Boosted out. I was thinking to myself, oh, with this Widow Mine here, I should have a Widow Mine here and hopefully push him away, which is exactly what happened. So he wouldn't chase. Even left the Widow Mine here that he forgot about. And he's got, decent Overlord spread, but I mean, where's his creep spread? It's non-existent. And he's still on 3 bases, with his main base nearly mined out, his natural getting low. I even still had this Raven here. I didn't even realize that, but I still had that Raven there. I assumed that he actually dealt with that, but apparently not. So I'm like, okay, you want to kill my medevac? Sure, I'll just leave my Marines here to kill your low health Corruptors. Because guess what? That's a perfect trade for me, buddy. And I was a little bit worried here when he was taking these bases, because this is the one time in the game I actually, I forgot about my constant unit production, because I was building a starport and getting my bases up, double expanding. So this is the type of thing where that was actually insanely risky. I actually kind of just wanted to see how many units I had. I wanted to kind of scout and poke and kill some banelings. Just kill like a few units here and there. And as you can see, that lost me a medevac full of units. But if I did get away there, that would have been ridiculous. So yeah, this moment it was when I realized, like, oh wow, I forgot to start making units, and he's actually got a decent sized force with a good chunk of banelings. But I'm not worried too much. I bet there's probably going to be a lot of people like, why aren't you building sensor towers? Well, what I like to do instead is build supply depots and turrets, which I actually haven't done much this game, because they're cheaper, and, well, if you build them in choke points, like putting a supply depot here, 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 then you can pretty much see everything way before it comes to you. Now, I want to point out that is, like, much further. Usually in the early game, like, if I take these 3 bases, I'll put a supply depot, like, here or here, one, like, here, one here, and one around, like, here. So I can see them usually a good 8 seconds before they get to my base. I decided, you know what, let's go for a random Thor. In this game, I was actually going pretty heavy on the workers. As you can see, I have 84 workers just because I'm just expanding so much. And I've actually maxed out here, which rarely happens in this low a league. Like, maxing out is something that only really happens in Masters, because, in Masters and higher, usually you'd see, a few clashes, but then you'd see, like, people just build up their big, huge army they want to get. In, Diamond and below, you just see clash, clash, clash nonstop. Drops here and there, nonstop aggression from any side, no matter the race. So I've got a huge chunk of bio here. So I scan, see him moving this way, and I'm like, okay, I'll just come over this way. Your Broodlords are slower, so I'm going to catch them off guard. He did have some Banelings, and I didn't split perfectly against them. I split my army only in half, given the timing, but with a bunch of Marauders, and, just the fact that, like, Banelings are, like, the only thing he has, he's not able to really do anything against me. And as you might expect, given the fact this guy's 2 ranks above me, and he's losing terribly, he decides to BM me a little bit. This is actually really funny. I don't think I was actually looking here. Yeah, I wasn't looking at my unit there. So this whole time, I actually didn't realize that there was a lurker there, because my units were just out of the range of it. I was just like, oh, my units are randomly dead. I'm not sure what that's from. It was actually from the lurker that initially I didn't realize, because when I was looking at the Marauder, it was healing from the medevac, and it was taking very slightly more damage than the medevac was healing. And then he runs into this base not realizing it's there. And this is the first time ever he's actually able to get some decent mining outside of his 3 bases. Because if you look, mined out, mostly mined out. So he basically can't remake any forces. In fact, he's only got 112 worth of overlords. So he's gonna have to make a bunch of overlords before he can even get close to maxed when I'm, remaxing at this point. And at this point, I'm getting every upgrade in the game because I have so much money. I've got 5,000 minerals and gas. I've got building armor, got high sec auto tracking, got 3/3, vehicle weapons 2/2. Even though the only thing that really benefits from that is a Thor and a Viking to some extent, I guess. And I decided to even get the servo upgrade, which I don't actually think I've ever gotten before or ever used. This is actually the first time I think I've ever used the upgrade, and it was right when the game ended. So, a bunch of lurkers, but I mean, they don't have that long a range, dude. So he has to move them. So I scan here. Right when he moves his lurkers away, I scan here. See all of his guys. Got a bunch of widow mines here. That get pretty good damage. I scan here and I'm like, okay, you got a bunch of lurkers, buddy. I just gotta rescan and kill all of them. Luckily, his roach reinforcements were barely able to do enough. This Viking randomly got over here. I don't remember exactly how, but I'm like, you know what? I'll leave him here so I can, see if he's taken either of these bases. And I'm on top of my production. At the end of this game, I've got 3 starports, 8 barracks, 5 factories. I mean, I could have even made more than that if I wanted to, but I'm like, okay, let me just get every base on the map, expand like a Zerg player here. So we decide, let's do a super quick land the Vikings, which I don't even need. He's got nothing. And, I mean, at the end of this game, look at the resources lost tab. Like, not only was he never spreading creep, never could take a 4th base, always getting baited super easily, but his micro was terrible. He was never taking good engagements. I was losing so much less than he was. It was ridiculous. So that's going to be it for this episode. If you guys like this type of content, definitely leave a comment, leave a like, and tell me if you want to see more of it. With my new PC, I can do this much better than my last video I did a long time ago. And might even do some actual gameplay for you guys directly. And maybe sometime in the future, once I hit 50 subs, I might do some streaming. When I say might, I mean whenever I have a good recording environment, which is hard to happen, because I need like a good few hours all alone to myself, which very rarely happens. But yeah, that'll be it for this episode of StarCraft 2 replays, I guess. See you guys in a next one sometime in the future if you guys really like this content.